Hello and welcome back. Today we'll be discussing requirements analysis in depth. Just a quick recap of what we've covered in this channel. We covered business analysis, what is business analysis, who a business analyst is, the skill set of a business analyst, and the salary requirements of a business analyst. Then we went into details and covered business analysis in more depth. We talked about requirements analysis from a very high level overview. We talked about requirements development and we talked about requirements management. In this video, we're going to go into more depth details of what requirements analysis is, and this is a continuation of the high level overview that we had last week on requirements analysis. So we learned about what requirements analysis is. It's a technique that's used by business analysts to understand the requirements in more details, especially when a project is just starting. The business analyst has to have an idea of what the project is all about, understand the high level requirements, analyze them further in more details, and then also during requirements gathering, make sure that the requirements that the business analyst is getting from the subject matter experts are clear, they are concise, they are testable, they are correct. All this is done during requirements analysis, and mainly they're about three sources for the requirements analysis. There's the primary sources, and we did discuss this in the previous high-level video. There's the secondary sources, and then we're also going to add during requirements gathering, because definitely in that stage or phase, there's some analysis that is needed even when the requirements are being provided by the subject matter experts. So during primary sources, we talked about existing project charter documents for those organizations that are very structured and maybe the capability maturity model, there are around 4 or 5. Such documents would exist: scope documents, vision statement, business case, etc. For those that are not structured, sometimes requirements can be flying around in emails. So emails are a very good source for requirements analysis to understand what requirements have been discussed so far through informal discussions with stakeholders, subject matter experts, through analysis of the current system while getting more information about the future state. All those are primary sources of requirements. And then when we talk about secondary resources, we're talking about related projects, requirements from related projects, requirements document, related systems, system design, specification, documents. All those are sources of secondary requirements. All those are secondary sources of requirements. So definitely a business analyst would do well to look at all those secondary sources. And then just going back to the primary sources, there are also policies and procedure documents where the current processes have been captured, the current procedures have been captured related to the scope of that project. So definitely that too is a good source for requirements. And then during requirements gathering, when the business analyst starts facilitating the requirement sessions, understanding the business needs, when the subject matter experts provide their business needs for their functional area, a skilled business analyst would probe further, would use that opportunity to probe further, to understand the requirement in its entirety, understand other related requirements, dig deeper from the high level requirements, and then for a less skilled business analyst, during requirements document, that could also be another time or period when the analyst can dig deeper into the requirements, ask questions, write down questions, because some of the requirements are very high level and yet they do have other information that is needed. For example, where subject matter experts talk about the function that they would want in the system, they would only list maybe functionality at a high level and put an etc. But as a business analyst, if you want to gather complete requirements, etc., etc., is out of the picture. You have to ensure that all the related functionality, that complete list is specified by the subject matter experts. That way, during development, the developers can develop that functionality completely, and during testing, the testers would test the complete functionality. But if it's left hanging with etc., then already the system that will be developed will have gaps. We move on now to the artifacts, deliverables that can be created or documented during the requirements analysis phase. So, what deliverables artifacts can be created during the requirements analysis phase? Remember, the requirements analysis phase is not yet an official phase where the requirements are really supposed to be created and documented for sign-off. That is addressed during the requirements development phase. But however, requirements analysis phase, when the business analyst is digging deeper on any pre-existing requirements to kind of assist the business analysts as they go into a meeting prepared about what the project scope is all about, the business analyst definitely needs to document whatever requirements that they've found all over in those different sources, the primary sources, secondary sources, and also during the requirements gathering phase, which is really the requirements development phase. So the business analyst could either just take notes, consolidate all those requirements from all those different sources, or they could start working on a business requirements document. Very, very high level. It's not official. It's a draft. Document those high level requirements from all those different sources. And then also during requirements sessions, definitely that's a responsibility of the business analyst to capture those requirements and document them and carry on further analysis. And really, BRDs or business requirements documents, they're more applicable during the waterfall project or the RAP methodology because of the flexibility in timing, like in the waterfall methodology. However, when it's the agile methodology and the system needs to be delivered in phases during the sprint cycles, BRDs are really not the ideal type of documentation. User stories are more quick because the business analyst can just capture the goal, the purpose of every role in terms of interacting with the system, and then also capture those business requirements, what the system needs to do. And user stories are also more ideal during the waterfall methodology. However, during requirements analysis, the business analyst can start working on those documents, capturing those requirements, documenting them in those particular documents, including the functional requirements document, which is also good for the waterfall methodology. And then also the requirements management plan is a good tool during requirements analysis when the business analyst is analyzing all those requirements from different sources to come up with a plan in terms of how requirements are going to be captured, which functional areas are impacted, how many meetings are going to be held for the duration of the requirements gathering session. That way, the business analyst is giving a plan or providing a plan to the project manager, to the SMEs. Everyone is prepared in terms of what's going to be taking place during the requirement session, the methodology that's going to be used during capturing the requirements, because not a lot of business people understand the software development life cycle. So definitely this is a very good process to document the plan in the requirements management document. And then also process flows are very good, modeling the current state, what is happening today, and then also modeling the future state. So during that requirements analysis, based upon the information coming from all those different sources, would be very, very ideal. And it's also visual. It helps the stakeholders and the subject matter experts to understand their processes better. And then also SIPOC would also be a very good tool, especially for the agile methodology, because it's a very quick process. It's a very quick tool that helps to identify who the suppliers, what the inputs are to the high level process, normally 3 to 7 steps, what are the outputs and who are the customers, and any other form of tools that can be used during requirements analysis, just to make sure that there's some type of structure to those requirements that are being gathered from various sources. I hope you learned something today. Feel free to leave your questions, comments, like the video, share the video, subscribe. And next week, we're going to talk about requirements development on a high level. Thank you so much, everyone, for your support, for your subscriptions. Thank you. Bye.